Hello guys, welcome to my first video of the upcoming game, Artifact. I'm very excited for this game. I'm currently in the beta and it is based on Dota 2, and Richard Garfield also designed this game along with Magic the Gathering. And you guys should know that I'm a pretty big fan of Magic the Gathering. So yeah, tried it a lot, and there's a lot of things that are very, very interesting about this game that's very different from everything else. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the basic structure of the game and my first impressions of it, and I also have an exclusive card preview at the very end. So let's kind of just go over what you should expect from a game of Artifact, right? So first of all, there's going to be 3 towers on 3 separate boards. So technically, you're kind of playing 3 separate games all at the same time. You need to win either 2 out of 3 lanes, so you destroy 2 towers that have 40 health, or you beat the same lane twice. You kill a 40 health tower and then you kill an 80 health ancient. So already there's already kind of a strategy. Do you want to just put everything on one side and just win one lane twice? Or do you win 2 separate lanes and kind of give up the other lane, for example, so that you put more resources into the 2 to just kind of get you the victory, right? So already this is a very interesting structure. There's 5 types of cards, and the most important card type is the hero card, where each deck starts with 5 heroes and they each have their own signature cards. So you already have 15 cards predetermined by the heroes you choose, and those cards are pretty powerful. They kind of like define what deck you're playing, kind of. There's creep cards, which are used to summon more creatures to the field. There's spell cards, which are one-time use effects. There's improvements, which stay on that active lane and give you a passive benefit. And there's also item cards, which you can buy from the shop after every turn, that improves your heroes permanently. And gold is earned from killing your opponent's creeps. You can kill your opponent's heroes for 5 gold apiece, and you can also play cards that give you gold. There are 4 different colors, and they each represent something different. So red would be the color of power, and all of the heroes are really strong in that color. There's a lot of buffs to units, but it's not really flexible in terms of defense or spells. Green is the color of unity. There's ramp, there's healing, there's some of the best creeps in the game for that color, but it plays really fair, and the heroes have a very low attack. Black likes to get things done. They have very high attack heroes, and it's very combat based. There's a lot of direct damage, there's a lot of siege damage, which is damage to towers, and there's also a lot of gold generation. The weakness to black is, of course, that the heroes are very squishy, they don't have a lot of health, and they're very easy to kill. And finally, the color of blue is to outwit your opponents, using heroes that are very weak in terms of stats. They're probably the weakest statted heroes throughout of Artifact, but they have the strongest signature cards, which are the cards that come with heroes. They have the best spells, they have the best AoEs, which are Area Effect, and of course, as we know, in any card game, Area of Effect spells are some of the best cards in the game, and they also have the best improvements, which leads very nicely to our preview card, which is Glyph of Confusion. For 6 mana, you get an improvement. They can play in any lane because they have the arrows beside the numbers, and Glyph of Confusion reads, whenever a unit enters this lane, you stun it. So it's a very weird card in the sense that you can play it in 2 different types of situations, right? So the first situation is if your opponent really wants to put pressure on one of your lanes and they are very creep based, and they want to put heroes, the siege your tower, whatnot, you can put Glyph of Confusion there and kind of ignore that lane, right? You can have it so that your opponent kind of is playing 1 turn behind, because any units they play on that lane is kind of frozen. The second way to play Glyph of Confusion is to use it on the lane that you're winning in, so that if your opponent plays any units into that lane, then they don't get an attack because they're stunned, and you can just have a free attack in them. And that puts a lot of pressure on that lane as well. Overall, it's a very weird card, very hard to use properly, because if you use it in the wrong lane, every unit you play will also be stunned. And as we know, a hero that is stunned cannot attack, cannot cast their active abilities, and most importantly, they can't contribute their color to the active lane. So for example, if you have like a Crystal Maiden that's stunned, you can't actually cast any blue cards in that lane. So that's a very, very dangerous. You need to be careful about that. Finally, I'll give some of my first impressions about Artifact. I played a lot in beta, and I feel like there's a lot of strengths to the game, right? So first of all, every game feels very different. You start the game off with 3 creeps in 3 separate lanes, and then you start the game off with 3 heroes and 1 in each lane, right? There's already so many different board states that can happen with these generations, right? Because your opponent can be playing 3 different heroes compared to the one you played last game, even though if they're playing the same colors. So there's a lot of combinations of board states that can happen, even in turn 1. Speaking of great turn 1 mechanics of the game, each tower starts at 3 mana. So if you look at a lot of card games, you usually start 1 mana and then you kind of, play 2 mana with turn 2 and 3 mana turn 3, right? So in Artifact, you kind of like brought into the middle of the game immediately, right? There's already a lot of units on the board, there's a lot of heroes on the board, and you have 3 mana to play with, so you can play, a 3-drop immediately, and you can play a 2-drop and a 1-drop. The game feels a little bit more fast-paced. It feels like it just removed the early, turn 1, turn 2, kind of do nothing, or just play a 1-drop, phase of the game, and immediately gets you to the action, which I really like. And finally, I really like the characters and the voiceovers. They feel like they're very detailed, and obviously most of them comes from Dota 2, like the voiceovers and whatnot, but it just feels like it's a very nice environment. And I think it's important because for any card game to tie the mechanics together, you need characters that make sense, You need, for example, a sniper. Sniper, you want to be able to use range abilities, and that character communicates it really well. And the voiceovers makes it so that you're kind of like, in the world of Artifact and playing the game. And there's a lot of games that do this well, and Artifact does it really well too. My favorite hero is Trazix, the Drow Ranger. Not only is her whole character awesome, and her voice and her voiceover is great, she's also a very, very strong hero, and I don't think she's spoiled yet. So when she's spoiled, you guys should keep an eye out for her because she's really, really powerful. So that's it. That's my first initial impressions of the game. I'm gonna be streaming Artifact a lot when we can do it. So there's gonna be an open beta phase where streaming is gonna be allowed, and on November 29th, where the game actually releases, that's when everybody else can play too. So make sure you tune into my stream, which is gonna be twitch.tv/chess. And yeah, we're gonna be playing some fun Artifact games together. And also, I'll be, uploading some highlights on Artifacts into my YouTube video. I'll also be doing some level up sessions, focusing on specific areas on Artifact to help you guys, understand the game better. For example, there's tempo, there's like item cards, there's like these path cards, which are like a whole different story, and it'll be great. So this month is looking to be good. I'll see you guys in Artifact.